Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Kate McNingwe. I am a Cameroonian living in Germany, and I give 1 or 2 cents on life as an immigrant in Germany. So today, in this video, I want to talk about um Ausbildung. I think I've mentioned Ausbildung a lot in most of my videos, but today I want to talk about what Ausbildung I did and how you should choose your Ausbildung as an immigrant in Germany. So, I did my Ausbildung as an educator. In Germany, they call it an 8 year. You can work with children and youth. The age group is 0 to 27. Most of the times when we hear about 8 year, we always think about kindergarten, but it's not restricted only to kindergarten. You can work in the kindergarten, you can work in a youth center, you can work in various areas. I have worked in various areas. I have worked in the kindergarten, I have worked in a youth center, I've worked in a workshop where youth work. I've worked in a disability school, not a home. I've worked with children from 0 to 27 years old. So 8 year is not only restricted to kindergarten, it's a wide variety. It's called an educator, and so it's about helping children grow up and youth, to guide them and so on and so forth, more like a counselor, especially when you get to the older children, 18, 19. Then they are not more actually raising them, you're more like guiding them, more doing of a counseling job. And I've done it all. And so yeah, so that is the Ausbildung that I did, and it takes 3 years. If you already have a degree, it's 3 years. If you do not have a degree, then it's 5 years. You have to do 2 years social assistance and then 3 years Ausbildung. And that is what I did for 3 years, and I finished it. And yeah, what were the criteria that I did? I looked into before starting an Ausbildung. I did not just get up and choose to be an 8 year. I had worked as a teacher before. So when I was looking for something to do, an Ausbildung to do, I wanted to go in that direction of an educator. Because I'm still a teacher, but not in the classroom, so to say. And an 8 year is like a teacher outside of the classroom. Because when I worked in the primary school, in the hut, that's how in the hut, that's how they call it, as an 8 year. There is a direct communication between the 8 years and the teachers. So once the children close from school, they are being handed over to the 8 years. So we are like the teachers out of the classroom, if that makes sense. So it's not only that. That was one of the reasons why I chose, because I'd already been a teacher. But when I wanted to teach in it, I couldn't teach in a school because my degree is not a pedagogic degree. So I needed to go back to the university and do 4 years. Yes. So for me, that was a little bit strenuous. I couldn't do it. And to get into the university, I needed C1. At that time, back in 2021, I did the C1 exam. I did not pass. They asked me to write the exam again, and I told them I need maybe at least one more year in Germany before I could pass. And now, if I write the C1, I will pass, but I don't know if I need it. Excuse me. So I wanted to do something, since I couldn't go back to the university to do the 4 years program. Then the next best thing in my area of choice was the 8 year. So I did my research also. It wasn't only I did my research. I wanted to do something. I could also do something out of education, but what then? I did the research. At the end of the day, this is what I landed, because number one, I didn't want to work on the weekends. So I was going to learn only something that will require me to not work on the weekends, will require me to not work in the night. That was my personal choices. I wrote down, even before I decided to choose it, I wrote down a list of jobs. And then I started going through their working hours. I had my choice. I had my criteria. I don't want to work on the weekends, and I do not want to work in the night, because I knew that I wanted a family. And when I start having children, I don't know how it was going to be doing the night shifts, working on the weekends. Growing up, my mom was home on the weekends. Summer holidays, she was home. So that's the image I have of a mother. I'm not saying that that's how it should be. I'm just saying that that's the image I have of a mother. Coming, sometimes she will coming back from school, sometimes she's at home. Weekends we are at home, summer holidays we are crafting and doing things together. I loved it. So when I think about my future, I thought about that, and I wanted to also be there for my children. Oh my God, I still I digress. I still remember the feeling of coming back from home, back from school, and just getting that aroma from the kitchen, knowing that my mom has closed earlier and so she's at home cooking. Do you know what that means? That means delicious, fresh, delicious lunch. I was always happy. I was always happy. Sometimes she closed a little bit later, but it's okay. But on Saturday and Sunday, we are having something fresh. Something fresh. So I wanted that for my children too. So that's what I was like, no, weekends, I'm not working on the weekends, and I'm not working overnight shifts, because in the evening, every evening, my mom will be home. My dad, not so much. So yeah, I wanted that. So that was my criteria. And when I went through, I landed on the 8th year. So you have to think about what you want to do, or how you expect your work life to be, your work life balance to be. Money is not everything. I know night shifts, and also something that you like. I know night shift jobs, they pay a little bit more, but at what expense? So if you before you do an Ausbildung, it is important that you think about how you want to live your life, your work life balance, the time you want to work. Don't just choose an Ausbildung because they say the money is high, because sometimes money is not everything. Money, I know, I have friends who have done Ausbildungs that require night shift. Some of them have started working, they were earning more than 4,000 euros netto, if you know what that means, and they've quit. Because of why? Because that night shift is taking a toll on their lives. Yeah, educator job, it's not something that you earn a lot, but it's comfortable. You could earn between 2,300 to maybe 4,000 netto, depending on your age, how long you've worked and things like that. It's comfortable. It all depends on you. For me, i would rather have I'd rather be home in the evening with my children, and I'd rather be home on weekends with my children. I'd rather be home during public holidays with my children than to be working at night to earn a lot of money. If you're earning a lot of money, what are you doing with it if you're not able to spend time with your family? That was my personal preference. So it all depends on you. So choose wisely, think twice before you make the decision of what Ausbildung you want to learn, so you don't make the mistake. I've also had some people. I also, once when I finished my Ausbildung, there were some of my classmates who were like, they're going to do something else. It's not for them. Working with children, working with youth, it's not for them. You finish one Ausbildung and you want to start another one immediately. Because with an Ausbildung, it's like job training. You go to school and work at the same time, so you get enough experience in the field even before you finish your studies. So by the time some of my friends finish, they were like, this is not for me. So I will advise you do enough research to make sure that this is what you actually want to do. For me, it was easier because I'd already worked in this field. I worked with children. I was a teacher. I worked with children. I've worked with youths. So I know what to expect. I know what to expect from a 4-year-old. I worked in a kindergarten as a teacher. I know what to expect from a 4-year-old. I know what to expect from a 15-year-old. I know what to expect from a 19-year-old. I know what to expect from a 21-year-old. I even know what to expect from a 56-year-old because I have taught them all. So it wasn't a surprise. It wasn't a shock to when I went into the field during my practicals. I wasn't shocked to see the kind of behavior they exhibited. I was like, all right, this is just another setting out of the classroom. It's the same people, but just out of the classroom. And one thing about an educator, I choose this because the working hours, like I said, I didn't want to work on the weekends. And if you have the working hours is from maybe 7 excuse me, 7 to 5, depends the institution, but I think 5 is the maximum, 5 p.m. If you have a morning shift, you can work from 7 to 2 p.m. That means you have the rest of the afternoon free, and to me that's a lot. So even if you're stressed at work with the children, with the youth and whatever, you have an ample time to go back home, even take a nap if you finish work at 2. This was my thought, and this is how it worked out for me. If I have a stress day and I have a morning shift, if you wake up early, even work that starts at 7, I don't think is that early. The earliest, depends on where you live, the earliest you can wake up is 5. Even if you wake up at 5 and say you're at work at 7 and you finish at 2, you have time to go back home, take a nap, wake up, go grocery shopping, come back, cook, drink a glass of wine, and relax. And with this education, you don't take work back home. It's not something that it's not like a teacher. So you're taking sheets back home to go correct them. Yeah, maybe once in a while if you're preparing a project or so, but it's not something huge. It's mostly crafting. It's not. Yeah, there is paperwork, but it's doable. You still have enough time. You can relax. And if you have afternoon shifts, it will start probably 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So you can sleep from that morning shift. You can sleep a little bit longer. And if you start from 10, you've still finished at 5 p.m. and that is still enough time. If you finish at 5 p.m., you still have enough time to even go pick up 1 or 2 things from the supermarket, or to just go home, sit and relax for maybe an hour. By 7 or 8, you still be able to have dinner and go to bed on time. You know what I mean? Even if it's not about family, if it's just about personally alone. When I was doing my practical, that's how I looked at it, and that's how it was easier for me, considering the times. It was just easier for me. And if you have morning shift this week, the next week you have afternoon shift. So even if you're exhausted, I would just say, even when I was exhausted from work, even when I was stressed from work, I always had time to distress. I don't even know if that's a word. I always had time to calm down, calm my nerves, because there was always enough time after work. Even if I finish at 5 p.m., except for the winter times when 5 p.m. feels like midnight. But you can still go home and still relax, charge up for the next day. You know what I mean? Other than going to work in the night and sleeping in the night, and then you come during the day. Sometimes you cannot sleep during the day because you have other, I don't know, to each its own. But for me, and now I see it's like, okay, if my children are in school, I have morning shifts, drop them off at school, go to my morning shift, and I finish and I come back home. I can still prepare dinner for them, or even if I have late shift, I'll still be home in time for dinner and stuff like that. So yes, that's the 2 cents I have for you guys. If you want to do an Ausbildung in Germany, this country is stressful enough. We don't need extra stress. Just living in Germany, just living and existing on this land can be stressful. So I do not want any other stress, and we do not need to add any other stress in our life. We can make money, but what's the point of making money if you're not even able to enjoy it? So do your research. Think about the kind of life you want to live, how you want to live before you make a decision. Think about the things you like. What do you value more? Time or money? It's up to you. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.